Practice number 4 is behind us. Got in three really good work days last week, including Saturday was our first day in full pads. Comboed that with the Illinois High School Football Coach Association clinic, which was really productive couple days for us and building relationships there with the high school coaches as well. But today we went back and jumped into last week. We were kind of down in the red area all week, tried to emphasize the red area, but also just a proactive approach to trying to be as best as we can about not creating soft tissue issues in that first week. So we stayed in the red area inside 20 yards. Today we went out on the field. Another full padded practice was really good. A lot of physicality to it, getting some good crisp weather conditions. From a production standpoint, I think our offense has really just continued to kind of baby step forward. I really like the progress what they've made with not just the calls, the terminology, the execution, but just just playing good, solid football, protecting the football, snaps, operations defensively. Continue to communicate with the introduction of third down. We've got some personnel groupings that have been very positive. Our special teams, Caleb and Will have been pretty impressive in their field goal operation, so we'll kind of put that to test on Saturday with some live rush situations, but I like the way that's going as well. So overall, very pleased, but we're 4 practices into 15, and we got a long way to go.
It seems like with the roster turnover, there's a pretty good-sized group of young guys
who
might be able to take a good step forward. What's this opportunity mean for some of those guys?
Well, first off, couldn't be more impressed with the guys that we got in early. For guys that should be into their last semester of high school to come here and join with us, not just to handle the football workload, but the academics. Everything's been very impressive. In particular, the high school kids that came in, Sean Miller at the wide receiver position, Jordan Anderson, and I think the production of those guys have stood out a little bit. Aiden Laufrey is another guy, both him and Jordan at the running back position. On defense, Jerry Beatty's been very impressive. Just the way he's changed his body physically has been exceptional in the classroom as well as on the football field. Kind of like what those guys have. Malachi Hood, another one that just jumps out. Owen Anderson today, a couple tight ends were a little bit. We had one guy with a concussion issue, so that allowed Owen to kind of get into the fray, and to see the urgency hop up out of him was pretty impressive.
Seems like every spring there's somebody who breaks out that maybe didn't see the field much last year, but has a breakout. Are there a handful of guys like that?
Saturday we'll know a lot more when the bullets start flying, right? In a scrimmage situation, the NCAA has kind of really restricted spring ball, that we only get 3 live scrimmages, two scrimmages, and then of course a spring game that everybody will see. But I would say early on, some guys, Dark Angelo on defense has been a guy that has come into the spotlight. CJ Hart, even though he only had the 1 game a year ago, we haven't been around him a lot. He's continued to be impressive. I think new guys, T-Raw and the guys up front, T-Raw, Isaiah Adams and Zy Chrysler, which those guys are going to help us in a short fashion, which is impressive to see. Just the physicality up front and the way they've kind of gripped onto things. Some of our returning players, I think Griffin Moore, I've been very impressive with Griffin, the growth that he's had, and a lot of positive things there, and not missing two, right? I think the growth that the quarterback room has made in a short amount of time with Coach Lunny, right? All the offensive guys, it's new, but for Tommy, Art's out there in a limited role, for RJ, and even Samari Collier, it's been impressive to watch those guys handle the offensive transition and to be productive.
How about any of those the young DBs? Anybody standing out?
Yeah, we moved Keontae Curry to safety, and he I think in one practice he had 3 or 4 hands-on balls, a couple picks. Been very impressed with him. D. Snyder, T. Strain, another guy, Prince Green, has been. We've been very impressed with not just him during spring ball, but I think when he came back in January, the awareness, the care factor for Prince has been pretty outstanding.
Jordan Slaughter was a guy that, heading into last season, might have been poised to take advantage of an opportunity. What have you seen from him in the year?
First Jordan from the fall just to rehab and get himself back out there, and then he's popped in there at guard and been very impressive. I think the injury he had, there's going to be this transitional time where it's just getting used to running and firing and using that leg full go, and he's through 4 practices has been very impressive. I think he's the one that realizes too he's got to just get that stamina back up to where it's been. You can't play football for that long. Just playing football for a 2-hour practice is in itself a chore. But very impressed with his demeanor, his work ethic, and his recall.
I mean, he said that when that injury happened, like, he started to doubt some things about why it happened then. How tough is that mental piece to get over?
It sounds crazy, right? But Jordan, because I was only around him in the spring and then around the fall, he was there at every team meeting at the beginning. When we're in our team meeting, we kind of have the injured guys sit up front because they're not up and down the stairs. So I would always see Jordan. He was always no pad out, engaged. He cares a lot, right? His mom and dad did an incredible job of raising a kid that cares. And I think last year was frustrating when he saw our success, but also when we saw our failures that he could help, right? So I've been excited to get him out there, and I think just the growth that he's had through these first 4 practices has hopefully given him the confidence that he belongs out there.
What are your thoughts on the tailback room, Bret? Just the overall competitiveness, talent, and just what you have in that room?
Well, I'm excited. Obviously, Chase Brown, performed at a high level a year ago. Josh, definitely had some flashes that get you excited. I think Chase Hayden, since the time we come back in January, has been a very impressive spring to this point. And then, like I said, the 2 guys, Jordan Anderson and Aiden Lawfrey, are definitely going to be able to bring something into that room right away. Fidanzo has done a good job in there, but I think Josh and Chase, like when they make a vertical cut, even though we haven't had tackle football, I just don't think a lot of guys are going to be able to bring them down individually with arm tackles. They're explosive. Corey's done a nice job of emphasizing the vertical run game. One of the things that attracted me to Barry, Coach Lunny, when we began to talk, was the balance of having a 1,500-yard rusher and a couple 1,000-yard receivers, or close to 1,000. The balance that creates. I think anytime you become one-dimensional, a team can overplay that strength, right? If we're a little bit too run-oriented, you can overplay that defensively. If we're a little bit too much pass-oriented, you can play that. So I think anytime we have balance, especially on early downs, that's a positive thing.
The body change difference. It seems like some of those guys are just different human beings, let alone personnel-wise.
Chase Brown, he's just genetically gifted. Him and Sid are freaks. They look good, but Josh, we're hovering him around that 242, 243 range. I would say Chase Hayden, though, has changed physically and see where he's at. Jordan Anderson is a very impressive. He's long, he's big, kind of a different type of running back. Even different, him and Josh are both big guys. Like in recruiting, you realize we like big backs, right? Like so there's some demeanor there. But I think Aiden Lawfrey, especially, he could really be a change-up back. He's very, very probably as quick a player as we have in our program. But then he couples that with he's probably one of our fastest players, right? So just getting him confidence, from Gibson City to here has been a big jump, right? And he's handled it very, very well.
See what Lawfrey and Anderson can bring as in-state kids, and I put such an emphasis on in-state, and even the other early enrollees having a couple of them in-state. What does that kind of mean that this early on you're already kind of seeing? Some of that?
Without a doubt, the 2 JC kids, right? Joliet Catholic Academy kids. Coach Jaws was down here this weekend for the clinic, and he could even see like the growth of those 2 guys. They look like they belong out there. Malachi's been equally impressive in the linebacker room. So I think Jordan, Anderson, and Aiden, because they're always with the ball in their hands, but they've had a couple mistakes too, right? Like a couple of them put the ball on the ground, and we put a premium on ball security in this program, and that has to come out of them a little bit more. But yeah, and then even so, like Henry Boyer was down here this weekend. Ian Pugh, I should bring Ian. I believe he's put on 14 pounds of muscle since he's been here. Now he came in at barely over 150, all right, with some wet clothes on him, but he attacked that weight room, attacked the nutritional aspect, attacked everything we've asked him to do, and he's one of our, percentage-wise, he's one of our biggest weight gain guys in the program, and it's a good weight, right? So I'm very, very excited about those guys.
Coach, where you at with the roster? Do you still have some flexibility in the offseason to continue to look at the portal?
Oh yeah. We have a couple what they're called initials, right, which would allow us to official visit kids and bring kids in, and we're looking for the right fit. I also kind of put a pause on where we're at right now. We definitely had an idea of the players that we wanted to sign through December, January, and maybe early in this year. But now we're really just kind of seeing where our roster at, where we can move guys around. We'll definitely add some portal guys in this spring and summer of position needs, or guys that we may be recruiting right now that we know they're not out till May or June. It's constant work there. I'm not going to be oblivious to the fact that I got a roster of 101 guys now. I might have a couple guys that want to enter the portal afterwards. So even guys that we've lost to the portal, right? If they haven't found a home and where they're at and what we're needing, if that would change the math for them as well. So it's just a different world, right? This portal world is, fortunately for us, we haven't really lost anybody of significance that we're trying to, build around or keep around. So, but we definitely got to keep evolving to where we need to be.
Coach, going back to your relationship with the high schools, you just got the coaches in there. How important is for Illinois and your program to have the state finals here? I know there's some talk about the future for that starting in 23. What's your take on
Well,
that?
I spoke to the high school coaches clinic, and I said right before I talked, someone from the IHSA got up and spoke, right? And I saw that emblem up on the screen with that state, flag or the state logo imprint in the middle of that, and that means everything to me. It's part of the reason that this job was so attractive before it even came open to me was to be back in my home state and promote it. I played football in this state as a high school player. I wrestled in this state. I ran track in this state. It's something that means a lot to me, and we've done some things within the stadium. I know some of you guys follow that. We've done some things to recognize the state championships. A lot of that was driven by Coach Ryan. There's a reason I hired a Hall of Fame high school coach to come in here and help us build relationships, because Coach Ryan brings things to my vision every day that I would have never seen, right, or never would have really thought of. So it's absolutely essential. I think the coaches who were here this weekend felt it, and hopefully this is something we continue to build.
Are you willing to do some things to make it happen? I mean, I know it sounds like the IHSA wants to have it permanent somewhere.
Yeah.
I know that's tricky with your schedule.
It is. It's something, again, we got to work within the parameters that we have, right? Like, I can't control the fact that our last game has always been against Northwestern, and because of that, obviously, to play that Saturday after Thanksgiving directly conflicts with what they want to get done. So when it's a home game, that's a conflict, right? So, we're going to constantly always look at different options of what we can do, but there's certain things I just can't control, right? They're out of our reach.
Would you think about talking about Thursday game, Northwestern?
Well, I think a lot of that
Thanksgiving
depends
game?
on what happens before that, right? We already have a Thursday game this year and a Friday game. I don't really want to take ourselves off traditional Saturdays. I know everybody has an opinion on that, right? But I do too. Like, I wish every game was Saturday at 1 o'clock, right? But that's not the world we're in right now. So we got to constantly think about that. But I know in the past, right? Like the previous school I was at, I always geared our season to playing in the Big Ten championship game, right? I played in I won the last 3 championships that I was a part of, and we geared ourselves to that particular point of season. When I got here, they had their banquet on championship weekend. Like, it didn't make sense to me, because to plan for a banquet on the championship game makes no sense of where you want to go. So there's just, again, little things within our program every day we got to talk about.
What are your thoughts on Alec Bryant, and in your experience,
Yeah.
what are the benefits of having a kid around the building, just not be able to play like he was last year?
Great point. So, when Alec became available to us, right, it was past the time where he could be eligible, but it was very important. Like, we did a lot of recon on who he is and what he is. Got him here. I remember him visiting right before camp started, and then unfortunately he was in a situation where he couldn't do anything but sit out the season because of that. But his body has changed physically. His demeanor of being around our guys the entire fall, being in meetings, and then just today, I literally before our second team period, I went up to Kevin and I said, "Hey, 90, just the physicality that 90 plays with is what we're looking for." So I've been very impressed with Alec. I think he's kind of a quiet soul, kind of a quiet demeanor, but really excited where he's at.
Bret, with Art being cleared to throw, is he ahead of where you guys thought he was going to be last season?
Technically he's cleared to throw, but he can't throw in practice with us. It's all with the trainers right now. He's not really throwing at full velocity, full strength. He's probably about a half in velocity. So they told us when he was going to be able to throw, so there's not. But I would tell you this, the medical people have just been very impressed, as we all are, right? Art's just a little bit ahead all the time. But he takes advantage. Like, literally, I'm stepping on him every damn play, because he stands right behind the quarterback at 15 yards and takes every snap that they take. He just can't execute the throw right now. But my guess is Art is right in the middle of the competition as thick as anybody.
Still don't expect him to be able to do any team stuff this spring?
No, he can do some team stuff when he's handing off the ball, or if we do some stuff called ASM&M, alignment, shifts, movements, and motions, and he can do that rep because it's a one step and we don't throw it. So he's getting a lot of reps that he can.